Hello, and welcome back to another World Cup Daily for the 21st of February on the Chris McPherson Show. Today's one's going to be a little shorter and sharper with the last of the group stage games wrapped up. Just one match to recap overnight, and that means we now head into the Super8's with one game to preview ahead. The games are happening a little bit slower and a little bit more separated. Some standalone days with standalone games coming, which means we'll probably get a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more into this as the competition heats up. We've also got a couple of big cricket news bites as well before we get into that Super 8 opener. Remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, make sure to hit like on the video. Hit subscribe so you can stay up to date with all your cricket and other sports content. And of course, get involved in the comments and follow along on our social media channels at The Chris Mack Show on your favorite social media platforms. But let's rip into it. We have plenty to discuss, even though it's a little shorter and sharper. Let's start with the Australia and Oman game. And Australia end a messy and frustrating, it's fair to say, 2026 T20 World Cup with the one thing they've really needed more than any: a clinical, no drama, well executed win. Even if the body language of the Australian players screamed this should have meant a little bit more, they knew, you could tell, that there just wasn't the emotion with it, based on the fact that they were already out of contention. They knew they were doing the job they needed to, but they knew that it was all in vain. As I said, the bigger picture doesn't change. They're knocked out. They never really looked settled through this campaign, and it was defined by flat, underwhelming performances, questionable balance, and a lack of rhythm against quality opponents. This win was clean, but it was still a band-aid in the end on an axe wound, not enough to fix things. Well, let's talk about the good things, though, from this. And with the ball, it was Adam Zampa's reset game. We talked about it yesterday in the preview. He needed to stand up and strike, and after going wicketless in the prior two, he bounced back with four. 4 for 21, sharp, he was skiddy, and finally attacking the stumps again. That's what we want to see from Zams. Xavier Bartlett had set the tone early with movement and intent. 2 for 27, including a first ball statement to knock over Amir Kaleem. Glenn Maxwell chipped in late with 2 for 13 and ticked over his 50th T20 international wicket. Oman folded, absolutely crumbled, 104 all out in 16.2 overs. Australia strangling them once the spin took over and wickets kept coming in clumps. And then it was Australia's turn with the bat. And let's be honest, they've been far from convincing so far through this tournament with the bat either. And Australia played like they had somewhere else to be. Mitch Marsh went full pressure release mode, 64 off 33 not out. Power play brutality, clean hitting, and there was absolutely no messing around from the Aussie captain. This is more of what we needed to be seeing earlier in the tournament. Travis Head was equally as punchy, 32 off 19. That opening stand of 93 from 49 balls made the chase a formality by the halfway mark. They got it done in 9.4 overs, but the lack of celebration said it all. This was closure, not joy. So in terms of the campaign overall, obviously it was underwhelming for the Aussies, the displays. There's so many asterisks and question marks over selections. Obviously, a lot of injuries and missing players didn't help the cause, but things like Steve Smith not being called into the squad till late and then still not being used, the persistence with some all-rounders who weren't bowling, and players who are just clearly out of form. So many question marks, such a disappointing performance. The first time in 19 years we've missed out on progressing to the next stage of the T20 World Cup. They finished with 2 wins from 4, but against teams that mattered, they were outplayed and outthought. This game was a reminder absolutely of what Australia should be, and a loud question of why we didn't see it sooner. Let's move on to the news and let's talk South Africa. They've named their T20 squad ahead of the New Zealand series that will follow this T20 World Cup. It's a 15-man squad. And with Keshav Maharaj named as captain, it's another one of those thin opportunity-style squads right after a major tournament. It's certainly not at the bereft, lean nature of the South Africa C squad that toured for test matches in New Zealand a few years ago. But it is very lean on the ground as they squeeze this into this window between the T20 World Cup and the IPL. Speaking of the T20 World Cup, of the players who are in the current World Cup group, only Keshav Maharaj, George Linder and Jason Smith will head over to New Zealand. The rest is basically the next wave to step up. There's 5 uncapped names in the squad: Connor Esterhuizen, Dejan Forrester, Jordan Herman, Ethan Bosch, Nokwani Mokena. Mokena is the headline, 19 years old, coming off a strong SA20 with 13 wickets. So watch this space and watch his name. George Kurtzy and Otniel Bartman are back in the mix, and Tony DeZorzi returns from injury. In classic South Africa scheduling reality, World Cup tour ends, New Zealand tour starts, IPL around the corner, throw in some PSL, the big guns get protected and the depth will get tested. We'll see how they stack up and what New Zealand name to take them on. Our second bit of news today is there's some rumours, speaking of the PSL, coming out of Karachi, talking about the PCB, the Pakistan Cricket Board, and a massive PSL media rights deal with talk of a 4-year package valued up to $280 million Australian. So $70 million a year across the deal. The chatter is it's a company that is linked to one of the already existing PSL franchise owners that may be preparing a record bid after some other interested broadcasters were reportedly disqualified due to owing money to the PSL or the PCB. Add in the fact that there's PSL expansion, which means more matches each season, it's easy to see why the rights value is being talked up. If this deal does land anywhere near those numbers, it is a genuine commercial game changer for Pakistan cricket. Expect to see some portion of it to go back to the franchises, but that will be a minority, not a majority. Well, it's now time to talk Super 8s, and the Super 8s begin, and this is a beauty to kick it off. New Zealand versus Pakistan, two teams who cruised past the minnows, then got belted by one heavyweight they each faced. For New Zealand, that reality check was against South Africa. For Pakistan, it was their rivals in India. So the storyline is simple. Are these teams contenders, or are they just a solid middle power making up some numbers in this Super 8s? New Zealand are walking into a different world. They've been built around seam support with Mitchell Santner, the main spin banker. In Colombo, they're probably going to need some more slow bowling influence, and the big question is how they balance it without dulling their batting firepower. Which all-rounders can they roll out? Their batting strengths have travelled well. They've lost very few wickets across the group stage, and Rachin Ravindra and Glenn Phillips have been the backbone when the early wickets fall, especially in the late games. Watch for Jacob Duffy. He's got an elite record versus Pakistan historically, but doing it here in Colombo will be a very different challenge. Pakistan have far more feel for these Sri Lankan services, and they'll lean into spin again. They have been super spinner heavy across this tournament. Watch out for Abrar Ahmed. Expect to back it on this pitch. His control could swing the whole match. With the bat, Sabzada Farhan has carried a lot of early overs pressure. Absolutely starring though. But while Pakistan still need their top order to turn starts into a proper 180-plus platform, he can't do it alone. This is a credibility test. Win here and you're suddenly alive and in the title conversation again. Lose and you're chasing the tournament from day one in the Super 8s. Only 3 games each in the Super 8s. Every one of them will be crucial, and it all starts here. Well, that's your quick hit wrap. Australia finished with a win. South Africa rotate hard for the New Zealand series. PSL money rumours swirling around, which is exciting for Pakistan cricket fans, and the Super 8s is about to kick off and light up. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, throw down a like on the video, and get involved in the comments. Tell us what your takeaways are. Who's going to win this first Super 8s game? Make sure to share it with your cricket crew. And for all the extra shorts and snippets from your sports world, make sure to head to our social media channels on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X at The Chris Mack Show. Until next time, we're signing out here on your home of the Black and White of Sports. No grey opinions. Thanks for tuning in.